getting squeezed in hour by hour. They're running out of ammunition. They're running out of spirits. Their surprise has waned. It's looking very, very bad. Looks like the Nazis are about to crush the Prague uprising. But then, at the last moment when things are looking so dark, a miracle happens, and help arrives from the most unlikely of sources. Within this Nazi army of 900,000 men, there is a division of Russians. Russians who, as the Nazis had invaded Russia in the early years of the war, these Russians had said, hey, Nazis, we're not Soviets, we're not communists, we hate the Soviet Union as much as you do. We'll join up with you, we'll fight with you. So in the early years of the war, they joined with the Nazis. At this point, they've been pushed all the way across Europe. They're here in Prague with the Nazi army. They know in a few days, Soviets will arrive. Germans, Nazis, they'll surrender. They'll go home. They will not be so lucky. They will be shot as the worst type of traitors because they've been fighting against their homes, their brothers, their families for all of these years. They cannot possibly surrender to the Soviet Union. Their only hope is to surrender to the Americans. The Americans are 55 miles away. To get there, they need to fight their way out of Prague. So as the Nazis are about to squeeze in and crush the Prague uprising, they start getting shot in the back by these Russians. This causes chaos, mayhem across the city. This completely stalls the Nazi attack. Now some of these Russians, they attack the Nazis. Some of them, they just give their weapons to the Czechs and they drive off. But this does enough to give the Czech resistance another breath of fresh air. It gives them more backing. It gives them more chance. And so they fight on for the rest of May 7th. Now during the night, these Russians, they head off to Kazan, but the damage is done. By the morning of May 8th, the Nazis, they look at their situation. They see that the Czechs are not going to give up anytime soon. They see that in a day, the Soviets will arrive. They can't be here when the Soviets arrive. They need to get out of here as soon as possible. So they call the Czechs together. They say, okay guys, we'll leave the city. We'll leave it in peace if you just let us go. The Czechs are like, well, why not? Let's get the Nazis out of here, and we can't really hold out that much longer anyways. So they sign an agreement, a ceasefire. Nazis leave the city, and they flee northwards towards Germany. So in effect, 30,000 Czechs had forced out almost 900,000 Nazi soldiers. A truly remarkable feat. An amazing feat, amazing story. One that remains so largely untold.